The Rams just made one of the most polarizing draft moves of the entire weekend when they selected Tai Simpson at 13 overall, passing on several highly rated defensive playmakers still sitting on the board. Names like Ruben Bain Jr. and Mackay Lemon were right there, players many analysts believe could step in and impact the league immediately. Instead, Los Angeles went in a completely different direction, betting on a long-term vision rather than a win-now upgrade. And that's where the debate explodes. On one side, critics are calling it a massive mistake, arguing that with Matthew Stafford still playing at an elite level and possibly coming off one of his best seasons, the Rams should be maximizing their Super Bowl window, not thinking years ahead. The logic is simple: championships don't wait for development projects. But on the other side, there's a growing belief inside the building that Tai Simpson isn't just another prospect. He's a McVay-type system quarterback with rare processing ability and football IQ that could eventually redefine their offense. Some insiders even believe they could have traded down and still got him later, which only adds fuel to the controversy. So the question becomes sharper: did the Rams just sacrifice immediate contention for a future franchise reset, or did they quietly steal the next face of their organization? Philadelphia Eagles enter this season under a strange kind of pressure, because even after multiple deep playoff runs and a Super Bowl appearance, the conversation around Jalen Hurts still hasn't fully settled. The draft only amplified it. Philadelphia added new offensive pieces, reshuffled parts of the roster, and even dealt with ongoing speculation around A.J. Brown's long-term future, with rumors suggesting a possible post-June 1 move could eventually shake up the offense. On paper, it looks like a reset around Hurts. A new offensive coordinator, new receiver combinations, a system that will demand quick chemistry and fast adaptation, and that's where the prove-it narrative starts to creep in again. Critics argue Hurts still hasn't fully silenced questions about consistency as a pure passer, whether he can consistently dissect defenses when elite weapons are removed or rotated. Others push back hard, pointing out he's already delivered on the biggest stages, including a Super Bowl MVP-level performance and multiple playoff runs that most quarterbacks never reach. The real tension isn't about talent anymore, it's about stability. If the offense clicks, Hurts looks untouchable. If it struggles early, the blame conversation returns fast, and it won't just be about him, it'll extend to coaching, scheme, and roster turnover. The New York Jets are being loudly labeled as one of the biggest winners of this draft, and on paper, it's easy to see why. They came away with multiple premium selections in the top 50, added what analysts are calling high-floor, high-upside prospects, and even stacked future draft capital that could reshape their roster over the next 2 seasons. Players like Cooper Saddle, D'Angelo Pons, and David Bailey instantly fueled the narrative that this was a clean, aggressive rebuild done right. For the first time in a while, the Jets look balanced on both sides of the ball. The defensive additions bring immediate toughness and explosiveness, while the offensive picks hint at a long-term plan to finally stabilize a unit that has struggled for consistency for years. There's even excitement around developmental quarterback options like Kate Klubnik, suggesting the front office is not done searching for answers under center. But here, where the reality check hits, Jets fans have seen this movie before: draft hype, off-season optimism, and then disappointment when the regular season starts. Talent has never been the issue in New York. Execution, development, and quarterback stability have. So the real question isn't whether the Jets won the draft, it's whether they can finally win the season that follows it. The Cleveland Browns are quietly becoming one of the most interesting draft stories in the entire league, and this time, the reaction is split right down the middle. On one side, analysts are calling it a masterclass in roster building. On the other, there's still lingering skepticism about whether this is real progress or just another illusion of stability. The Browns attack the draft with a clear strategy: accumulate value, trade smartly, and build depth across multiple positions. Their moves tied into the massive Travis Hunter trade conversation, where Cleveland essentially turned draft capital into a long-term roster engine. They walked away with multiple impact players, including Mason Graham, Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, and Casey Conception, while also adding offensive line pieces like Spencer Fano and Austin Barber through calculated trades. On paper, it looks like a front office operating with control and vision, the kind of approach that builds sustained success rather than quick fixes. But the question always circles back to the same issue in Cleveland: quarterback uncertainty. Even with all this talent infusion, doubts remain about whether the offense has a true long-term answer under center. So the Browns sit in a familiar but upgraded position: stacked roster, strong draft execution, and rising expectations, but still needing proof when the games actually matter. The Pittsburgh Steelers walk out of this draft with more questions than answers at quarterback, even after selecting Drew Aller and adding another layer to an already confusing situation. On the surface, it looks like a classic Steelers move, build for the future while staying competitive in the present, but the reality is far more complicated. The biggest storyline still revolves around Aaron Rodgers. The expectation inside the building is that he could return and start the majority of games, but nothing has been officially locked in. That uncertainty alone creates tension because the entire offensive identity shifts depending on his decision. If Rodgers comes back, he's the clear starter. If he doesn't, everything changes instantly. That's where Drew Aller enters the picture. A developmental quarterback with strong physical tools and long-term upside, but not someone expected to take over immediately in a playoff-ready roster. The Steelers also still have veteran depth pieces, creating a three-layer QB room that feels stable on paper but unsettled in reality. What makes this even more intriguing is the coaching angle. Mike Tomlin is now balancing win-now expectations with future planning, all while trying to avoid a full reset at the most important position in football. So the real question isn't just who starts, it's whether Pittsburgh is preparing for a transition or trying to delay one that's already coming. Jeremy Love entering the NFL as a top 3 pick immediately set off one of the boldest predictions of the entire draft weekend. The hype around him isn't just about being a starting running back, it's about whether he can do something almost unheard of in modern football, lead the entire league in rushing yards as a rookie, something not seen since Ezekiel Elliott's dominant 2016 season. On tape, Love looks like a complete package: explosive speed, physical contact balance, and the kind of burst that forces defenses to adjust instantly. That's why some scouts believe he's not just a future star, but a potential offensive centerpiece from day one. But the challenge is where the conversation gets complicated. Unlike a pure bell cow situation, his offensive environment may not guarantee him unlimited touches. Veterans in the backfield, potential committee usage, and game script rotations all threat to limit his volume. And in today's NFL, even elite rookies rarely get the kind of workload Zeke had in his prime Cowboys season. Still, supporters argue that talent like this can't be contained. If he earns early trust, the offense could shift toward feeding him regardless of depth chart complexity. So the question becomes simple but massive. Are we watching the next rushing champion, or just another rookie caught in a shared system? The New York Giants might have just built something terrifying on defense, and the league is starting to take notice. After landing elite pass rush talent in Abdul Carter at 5, pairing him with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux, this unit suddenly looks less like a normal defensive line and more like a coordinated attack system designed to destroy quarterbacks. On paper, this is exactly what modern defenses dream of: multiple edge rushers who can win one-on-one matchups without constant blitzing. Carter brings explosive first-step disruption, Burns adds proven NFL sack production, and Thibodeaux is still developing into a complete pass rush weapon. When you combine that with improved interior pressure, the Giants are quietly assembling one of the most dangerous defensive fronts in football. The expectation internally is simple: pressure every quarterback, every down. That kind of consistency doesn't just change games, it changes entire offensive game plans before kickoff even happens. And in a division filled with high-powered passing attacks, that matters even more. But there's still a major question hanging over all of it. Can this elite pass rush carry a roster that still has offensive concerns? Because even the best defense in football gets tested when it's on the field too long. So the Giants face a clear identity shift. Are they becoming a defensive nightmare for the NFL, or a one-sided team that still needs balance to truly compete?